What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Two Game Podcast. I am Matt Primo, joined by Brian Costa,
Hello, everybody.
the myth, the legend.
Yeah, it's more mythical now than anything else. I don't get out too often, so I can work on that myth thing. You know, you always hear about me, but you never see me. That works great for me. I love it. You know,
It's like a unicorn, sir.
exactly.
And that beard, just glorious as ever.
You know, a lot of effort goes into not shaving. As crazy as that sounds, it really does. A lot of effort goes into not shaving. I promise you.
Well, guys, we are back this week after a few weeks off. We are here with episode number 140, and this week, well, let me just say it this way: Fallout is huge right now.
Skyrocketing.
I don't know. Everybody is talking about the TV show. Everybody's playing the games right now. So we are here to talk about Fallout. We're going to talk a little bit about the TV show, but mostly we're going to talk about the games. I've watched episode 1. Brian has watched the entire series. So we're not going to be spoiling anything past episode 1. So if you have not watched that, we will, when we get to that point, we will mention that just so you can bounce out if you haven't seen it. But we're going to be talking about, Brian has been playing Fallout for a very long time. I actually have never played Fallout up until yesterday. So getting his perspective from years and years of playing it versus mine of less than an hour of playing it. But we're also going to be talking about the Delta Emulator as well, something that is also huge in the news here recently. We're going to try to unpack that for just a little bit before we jump into the Fallout stuff. No playlist this week, and we will, of course, end the episode with a weekly recommendation as per the normal, though. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into this shit, guys. Delta Emulator. So Apple, a couple weeks ago, Apple allowed the Delta app, the first emulator on the Apple Store. Up until then, years and years, you could not put an emulator on the Apple Store. Delta is the first one. And what's interesting about the Delta emulator there, Mr. Costa, is the fact that they can emulate Nintendo games. And this is where everything has changed for everybody.
Exactly, but at the same time, that's where I'm most concerned about, is the fact that they're emulating Nintendo games. And I'll expand on that as we go through it. I read up a lot about it. It seems like a pretty amazing piece of software. It really does. The way they're emulating it and the algorithms that they're using to do it is something that people are paying high dollar for set-top boxes for right now. It's completely separate pieces of hardware to emulate and play these older SNES, Sega, all these old games. And like I said, it's not as weird as we would think that something that old would be easy to run on our newer technology, the LCD screens and stuff like that. These games were never made to run on that. You know, they're running interlaced video on most of them, which what interlaced video is, if you think about it, it's processing half of the picture, then another half of the picture, then half the picture, then another half of the picture. And it's doing like that. And these new screens just don't do that, you know? So you got to have de-interlacing into it. It's all kind of stuff that follows into it. And this program, the Delta, really does that well for the videos I've seen on it and all. Now, disclaimer right off the bat, I am not an Apple guy. I have an Android phone. I've had an Android phone for many, many years now. My first smartphone was actually, I'll date myself here, was about 16 years ago, and it was actually a Windows phone. And I went from that to my first iPhone, which I think was the iPhone 2 or 3, I think it was. And I stood with that for a few years. And as I got more and more into the IT stuff, some of the stuff that the guy I work with and for does is sideload through Android. So it's easier to go with an Android phone than to do anything else, you know, because Apple's not going to allow you to sideload anything if they can't get something out of it. Okay. And like I said, I'm not speaking ill of Apple. It has its uses. Look, when my parents told me they wanted a smartphone, I told them to go buy an iPhone. It is the easiest to teach somebody how to use. It really is. You know. So, but like I said, I am an Android guy, and I've done the research on it. I've looked it up and everything else, and it looks fascinating. It really does, dude. But my biggest concern, and I will go on and say this right off the bat, is Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo is DMCA happy. They love the strike, they love the sue, and they love to sue these companies into oblivion. Okay? Where they're literally just shutting them down. You know, and that's what worries me about this. Isn't the fact that they're, I see that before there was a way to load them on the iPhones, but I think you had to have,
You had to jailbreak it.
yeah, you had to have. I couldn't think of that word for a second. I mean, my mind just went totally blank. You had to have a jailbroken iPhone. You could side load it through the alt store, stuff like that. But now being able to load it straight up, I think it's going to garner enough popularity that is going to grab Nintendo's attention, and that's probably not a good thing. I mean, they just struck Gary's Mod. They just struck Paul World not long ago. And anything that has anything that can be construed as Nintendo's IP, they're going to strike it and they're going to sue it. And that has been their repertoire for years, man. And that's what worries me about that for that software.
I absolutely agree. I don't understand how. I don't understand the legality behind this and how it is legal. I
I,
don't understand it because, like you said, Nintendo has stricken this shit before,
right,
and
exactly.
for lesser things. Like
And dude,
if
like I
you're
said,
if you're
I'm not a
was
copyright lawyer, and I know you're not either. We both had the same profession back in the day. But I don't understand how something you talking about Mario and stuff from mid '90s, 25 plus years ago now, going on 30 in some cases, and this stuff is still copyright protect. I don't see how that works like that, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the legality of it, and like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of it like that. I really don't. But it really, if you want people to invest more into your products, give them the chance to experience it. And if you're not going to sell it, because they don't sell NESs anymore to play Mario, they don't sell NESs to play stuff. You can't buy these older consoles anymore unless you're buying them third party and stuff like that, which comes with its own problems and risks. But if you can't experience it, how is the next generation going to ever grow to love it?
exactly.
You know?
They make it so difficult to play their older games. Like Xbox is very consumer friendly, I think, when it
Absolutely.
comes to that kind of stuff. PlayStation, Sony, they
Yeah,
have their
they're getting
moments.
better. They're getting better compared to what they used to be. Yes.
Nintendo, they will they will strike down a YouTube creator just playing the game for fun. Like they're not talking shit about the game. They're just
Correct.
playing the game and having a good time and trying to drive up sales for any kind of game. But then you have Nintendo who comes over here and like, okay, let's port this game to the Switch. This game that's, I don't know, 10, 15 plus years
Mm-hmm.
old, and we're going to charge $60 for it. And it's like, hold on,
Exactly,
hold on.
man.
Like Nintendo, as great as their games can be, like I'm a huge Nintendo guy. I love a lot of Nintendo games, but they are one of the worst companies
Absolutely.
for consumers.
Absolutely.
And
Like I
I
said,
don't.
I've been a Nintendo guy, like you said, for years, man. I played the original
I
NES
started
when
playing
it
with
came out.
Nintendo.
I was a little before that. I played the 2600, and I actually played on ColecoVision and all that fun stuff before that. But that's it. I mean, when the Xbox came out, I switched over to that because it had a richer feature set. It really did. It was, generationally an entire leap above what Nintendo had out at the time. But in that same aspect, when my kid got his Switch, dude, I was on that playing that because I could play some of the old games on it and stuff. And I was on that playing that all I could because it was fun to go back and relive that again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I find I'm not as good at it as I used to be. I don't know what caused that. It couldn't possibly be anything, natural or anything. I don't know. I think it's just a game, but
That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
exactly. Can't prove me otherwise.
So to me, this app was already there before it got on Apple. Okay, so Delta
Yes.
app was already there, and it was already able to do the emulating of the Nintendo games, right? As far as I'm aware.
As far as I could read, what I've read on it and stuff like that, it's been able. I think that was their primary goal was to be able to do this. Getting the Sony games and stuff like that, the newer consoles and stuff is, from what I understand, from what I read, I'm not a programmer or anything like that. I'm not a code monkey, but the newer games are easier to run because the technology is more recent. The older games are the hardest. When you get the older games to run, that's a marvel in itself, So I think that's what they set out to do, from what I read from their blogs and stuff like that. But it worries me for them. Look, I want to see them succeed. I really do, because I think it's amazing. But I worry about the legalities they're going to have to face in the process.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point that I was like, why wasn't it? Because we just mentioned how Nintendo is anti-consumer and they strike down content creators on YouTube. How, if this has been there, how did this not get struck down way before now? And if it didn't get struck down beforehand, dude, this is all over the news. Everybody's talking about this. Everybody's playing these games for free, and Nintendo's not getting a cut of this, as far as I'm aware. I don't know how they would get a cut.
I wonder, Matt, like I said, if it was just small time enough before this that it kind of, for lack of a better phrase, slipped under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
It was this little small project on the side that these people were working on. You had this small, almost cultish following with it. And now that it's main time on the App Store, full time, loud and proud, it's going to become big enough that it's going to put them in Nintendo's crosshairs. And like
Nintendo's
I said,
like, hold the fuck up.
Wait, for free? No, we don't do anything for free. We don't know what free is.
Hold up. We can't let them play our games
Exactly.
and talk good things about us. We can't let that happen.
How dare thee?
I actually have not tried it yet. I haven't downloaded it, but I have seen some clips of some of the games, and it looks fucking good. Looks really good.
Man.
And
the performance on it looks amazing. Looking at it, like I said, the project looks awesome. It really does. If I had an iPhone, I'd try it out. I don't
should
see
be able to
anything that could be
download
better.
GoldenEye, I would assume, huh?
Ooh, that would be amazing to go back and play that, wouldn't it?
On your fucking phone too.
Oh yeah, you and that golden gun.
I might be downloading that tonight. Now, if you go and watch the videos on YouTube of how to download the games, basically you download the app and then you have to like Google the ROMs or some shit like that, and you have to download the file, the zip file, and then you can import it into the app from there.
Correct. And that's going to be a lot of the emulators and stuff that you get. That's the way it's going to do it. A lot of times they'll save to a SD card or something like that you can move them over on the set-top stuff. Now, in the app stuff, you probably have to, if you're using a Windows machine, I can see you have to use a layer transfer it from Windows language to Mac or iOS in this case. But there's programs out there that do that are completely standard, And once you did that, you could transfer it to your phone if you're on Windows. If you're on a Mac already, it's just pretty much bam, bam. But it's going to be the ROMs or what they're going to call the games. For anybody that doesn't know that, any of the game files you download are going to be considered as ROMs, and that's just the file extension. But it's curious, man. I'm curious to see the longevity of it and how it's going to play out with that. Matt, I really am. It's curious to me. I want to see them succeed. I really do. They seem like a very good company that's looking out for gamers, trying to give gamers more in this process. And I'm always for that. I really am, but it just makes me worry about their possible battles.
Well, here's the other flip side to this is, a lot of people have made the case that, oh, well, you can just do the subscription, Nintendo Online subscription, and you get a bunch of games from those generations. And it's like, yeah, but let's be honest here. There's only like legitimately a handful of games that are actually decent. A lot of those games, I'm like, I never fucking even heard of these games.
Exactly, dude.
The emulator has NES, SNES, it has N64, Game Boy Color. I want to say Game Boy Advance is on there as well. So a huge portion of Nintendo games are on there. And it's not just, Super Mario and then no Pokemon games. No, it's all of
everything.
Pokemon games, Super Mario Brothers, Zelda. Christian was playing Ocarina of Time the other day when he showed it to me. Looked fucking fantastic, and all this on your phone. And it's just absolutely fantastic, and it gives you the controls on like the phone, like so it minimizes the screen a little bit.
It's almost like the buttons and all are across, if you will, across the bottom of it on the touchscreen and all here. So it's pretty neat the way they have it set up. And I read that they have a Bluetooth that basically, I'm going to use my phone for a prop here again. It clips to the sides of the phone, and you could use it with that. That it'll connect by Bluetooth on it too. Now, I don't know where you would get that at or something, but that seems like something that would be absolutely amazing for it, But I did see and read about that too, and that sounds just awesome right there. It really does, But I'm going to back up just a second on you though. Matt, right. You said something about the Nintendo, whatever their live paid service is called. I know you got Xbox Live and you got PlayStation Pro or PlayStation Now, whatever it is. Nintendo has theirs. Everybody has their own live service. Okay. My problem with that is I've already bought all these games. You've already bought all these games. Why should I have to pay again for the games I already own to be able to play them? When you don't make a console that's able to do it anymore. Much as supposed to eat that, or,
Oh, sorry, you're opening a can of worms here. We've had this discussion several times on the podcast, and I've ranted about it every single fucking time.
Yeah, there's no good answer to it, I guarantee you.
My thing is, I shouldn't have to, and I get it. If you go from console to console, I somewhat understand having to do it multiple times, like buy it multiple times that way, just because it's different, quote unquote, software or whatever you want to call it. But if I buy it one time for Nintendo, I should be able to get future copies of that same game for future generations. And it's just like I'll use the example of like Dark Souls,
okay,
for example. I want to say that was one of the games that I've bought twice, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I've technically bought that game like 5 times, but that's neither here nor there.
We won't get into that.
I won't get into that. That's neither here nor there. I bought it one time for the Switch, and then I started playing it on the Xbox, and then I started playing it on PlayStation. So I got 3 games just right there. And then I bought the digital copy for it because like the disc got scratched up, and it's like it opens a whole can of worms. It's like if I own the digital copy, which we have bitched and moaned about physical versus digital media on here numerous times.
Yeah,
I feel like if I own that copy, which according to the developers we don't technically own that, I should get future copies, and I should have copies where I can play it anywhere.
Absolutely. And, the thing is we all saw the writing on the wall coming that just digital copies were coming, okay? And it solved a lot of problems for developers. Now, I'm like you. I still have a box. Corey and I were cleaning out something the other day, and I found a box of old games to include, you got to figure now these are mostly PC games, okay? Original Half-Life, the orange box set,
Okay.
Battlefield 2, the original, not the remastered, Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty 2, all these older games, man, still in their case, still the cases are still intact and everything else. So it really is, there's something to be said about having physical things. The problem is, if I was to take any of them CDs and try to load them now, I doubt any of them would load. 'Cause all of them look hazy. They look scratched. They're old now. The CDs themselves have oxidized to a to a state and everything. So I don't know, man. I'm torn on that
100%.
myself. I see the benefit both ways. I do. I like having, especially games that are noteworthy and stuff. That you have that physical copy that you can show off even to a point. Okay, we'll go that route with it on this. But it's also good to be able to say, you know what, I want to play this game through again, and I go to Steam and I click a button and it downloads the game for me, and bam, there it is, and I'm ready to play. And it's automatically updated. Everything's done. There's an argument both sides of that coin. There really is. And where's the best solution is probably somewhere in the middle, but I see it from both sides. I really do with that.
Yeah, if I buy a physical copy, it should come with a digital copy.
Absolutely.
Anything. Like when I go to the if I buy like a movie or some shit, which I haven't bought a physical. I take that back. It's like it wasn't too long ago that I bought a physical Blu-ray. Actually, I have Obi-Wan the series coming in Steelbook, coming in the mail in a couple days.
Awesome.
Looks fucking dope. Like that should come with a digital copy. It's not going to because Disney's involved, but it should 100% come with a digital copy.
Disney's
just the opposite.
Come with the downloadable copies. If you bought your DVDs and stuff, you had the option to download them. Apparently, I haven't bought a DVD in, my God, dude, I don't know how long now. And the last actual physical game I bought, I can tell you exactly what it was: World of Warcraft: The Burning Crusade expansion. Okay, that was the last physical time I had to actually go. I went to the midnight release. Look, I'll let my nerd flow here, okay? I was there at GameStop at midnight to pick up my copy, the whole 9 yards, okay?
That is something that the digital world has kind of killed, are those midnight releases.
Mm-hmm. Because now you ain't got to get dressed. You can sit here in your underwear and wait for midnight to roll around and down. And most of them you can pre-download now too. You download the patch after it goes live, and it gives you a little 20 kilobyte patch just to activate it. Basically, is what all it amounts to. And there you go, up and ready. You ready to play? So a lot of them old time things, dude, that we had to do that our kids never will. Actually drive yourself out into the world at midnight to go get this game. You ain't got to do that no more. You just click a button now.
I did it with Destiny 2 when that came out, in 2000 and...
Shit, what's it been
17? Something like that.
About that, yeah. That's about right, yeah.
Yeah, we went there at GameStop, and I mean, it wasn't technically a midnight release. It was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever it was. But yeah, that was the last game that I did, and that was years ago.
Like I said, dude, it's a thing that's gone to the wayside now. You just don't have to do it no more. It's not necessary anymore. You have other options that are easy. That's the theme of this. This is easy. But
it's killed all the I guess the hoopla, the celebration. It felt like events when
the fanfare of it almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all let us know in the comments below what you think about the Delta Emulator. If you've been playing it, what games have you been playing? Also down below, in the description below, links to all of our social media accounts and our YouTube. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, whatever, Spotify has the video and the audio version of the podcast. YouTube has the video, obviously. So you can catch us there. All those links are down below, as well as links to our Patreon, patreon.com/2game. If you want to consider supporting us, that is the place where you can do that. We would greatly appreciate it if you did that. Moving on, Fallout. Fallout is fucking huge right now. Shout out. The show came out and they somewhat coincided it with the next gen updates with Fallout 4, which I think was fairly smart.
Oh,
But we'll get into
absolutely.
that because if what is Bethesda if they don't have bugs and shit, right?
It's not a Bethesda game without a bug, dude.
So I got Brian on here to talk about some Fallout because you had mentioned Fallout 4 when I asked you what games you've been playing lately, and I was like, all right, we'll talk some Fallout and so on and so forth. And then Corey calls me like the next day, and she's like, "What did you do? What have you created? The monster has been unleashed. He is ready to talk about some fucking Fallout."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, dude. This is
So
one of them titles that I've played every one of them. I've played the original one, this Fallout 2. 1 and 2, the original and the second, are very hard to play now. They're such old games. You know, they didn't age well, if I'm not mistaken. Fallout 1 was made for the NES or SNES initially, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, it's been to that. Fallout 3, amazing game. 3 and New Vegas are probably the best two in the series. New Vegas is my personal favorite out of the three I'm going to mention here. And 4, I like some aspects of 4 a lot better than the other ones, but the story to me in New Vegas and the gameplay was just top notch. That was personally my favorite. Okay. Fallout 4 came out in end of 2015. So you're still talking about a 9-year-old game now. And you said you started to dip your toe into a little bit. Graphics wise, it has aged exceptionally well. The update did add a bunch more content even to the game, along with functionality and some fixes and things like that. You know, it's
weapons.
just things we've progressed to since then. You know, and a lot of it was resolutions for ultra wide monitors and widescreens and stuff like that that just wasn't in the game. They didn't have that then. You know, but starting from 3 and New Vegas, 4, and then the last iteration, which I am just still so heartbroken and sad about, would be Fallout 76, which we had hopes up to here for, and it just shattered. Everything we had hoped for it, but it was supposed to be live action and actually the first true co-op experience in Fallout. And amazing thoughts. You can play with your friends now because Fallout historically has been a single player only game. So the option to be able to play with your buddies and your friends and everything else was awesome. And it was so hard to do from the get go. It's been years now. I'm looking up here. 2020 is when it came out. So 4 years. That functionality is not better now. We just tried it about a week and a half ago. It's not better. So let's stick to the oldies and goodies. I'll talk about 4. I'm actually playing through 4 again right now. And amazing game. Like I said, the story on it is rich. You have multiple options. As Corey always laughs and says all the time, it's to choose your own adventure book.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have different options you can go. And you'll see this coming up. You have the different. Well, let me, before I get ahead of myself, I'm sorry, Matt. Let me back up Tim here. When you start talking about the Fallout universe, you have certain factions, certain NPC groups, and things like that are in this universe. Fallout is post-apocalyptic. Okay, the bombs came, the bombs dropped. The Fallout or the Vault, excuse me, not the Fallout. The game revolves around the Vault Tech bomb shelters that were sold normally to the richer of the population, except in these places where they went and they gathered up all these people and say, hey, look, you did this. You're available to get a Vault Tech vault. You're going to go to Vault, whatever. Number, I think we've seen up to 111. I may be wrong there, but my mind's a little fuzzy at the moment. But we'll
It's
go to,
111 and 4.
yeah. So we have all these vaults, man, and we're gonna put you in this vault, and it's underground. It's got 2-foot lead shielding. You're going to be safe. We got food to last for years. And what you find out eventually is horrifying. I'm trying to do this and not give away a lot at the same time in case people want to play this, So I'm riding that nice edge. Okay. If I do give away something, guys, I totally apologize beforehand. It's not my intention. But so here we come to Reclamation Day, which is whenever the vault opens and we can go outside. And we go outside to find a post-apocalyptic landscape that is exceptionally well done, in my opinion, on all the games. Each of the games takes place in a different part of America. Okay. Fallout 3 was in, if I'm not mistaken, my memory may be wrong on this, it was on the West Coast. Okay. Around California, Nevada, up in that area right there. New Vegas is self-explanatory. Okay. And Fallout 4 was actually in around the Philadelphia area up in there. There's a lot of old historical sites you have to visit and stuff like that. So you have different geographical areas. Fallout 76 was actually in the Appalachians and all like that. You come out in 3, you have the NCR, New California Republic, as a faction. You have the Brotherhood of Steel, that's a faction. You have the Enclave, that's a faction. You have Raiders, you have Gunners, you have Super Mutants, you have Ghouls. All of these are potential friends, potential enemies. It depends on which way you go with the story. And it is just so in-depth and so much lore behind all of it as well when you start reading about it. All I'll say, and I'm going to say this because anybody that watches the series is going to find this out, and they're going to do this. Vault Tech is evil. You've watched one episode and you know that already, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Vault Tech is evil. Okay. And I'm going to stop that right there because if I go any further, I'm going to start dropping spoilers like cookie crumbs, and we don't want to do that. Where are you at in the game right now in Fallout? How far did you get in? Just an hour or two, or did you actually get sucked into it, or what?
Like probably 40 minutes into the game, honestly. So I just got outside for the first time, and you go to your house and old
Sanctuary.
What the fuck is his name?
Codsworth.
Your house is there. Yes, Codsworth. I wanted to call him Gaston, but yeah, Codsworth.
Works the same way. It's good. I'm all right with it.
It's all Beauty and the Beast. What can
exactly.
He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you this," and he takes off, and that's kind of where I ended it. So, like, legitimately, not even an hour into the game, a lot of things, like, I didn't know what to expect going into the game, to be honest with you. I never watched trailers. I never watched anything. I just saw like little snippets here and there. I've probably seen more of 76 than I have of anything. And that's still very little. And that was mainly just people bitching about it.
Oh, yeah, well, there's that.
When you start this game, Fallout 4, you're in this living area, you're out in the real world and shit like that, and you're like, okay, there's some advanced technology here, but there's like 50s backdrop, which it doesn't seem like it would fucking work, but it 100% fucking works. And the show, again, and this is just coming from someone that's played 40 minutes of the game, the show has nailed that atmosphere, that
oh my god, right?
Theme of the games to the show, because 100% it's got the sci-fi elements, the advanced technology, but it has the 50s music, the look, everything. And didn't know that's what I wanted in my life.
That old-timey romantic music, ain't it? Because it just has a romantic vibe to it almost,
Yes. I'm not going to lie. Lots of BioShock vibes that I get from it.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can see that. The time frame likeness, not the actual time frame itself, but the likeness of it. It's both kind of 50s, 60s-ish kind of decor and stuff like that. And in the series, I'm going to tell you this, they're going to explain why your so technologically advanced, but so technologically pulled back behind at the same time, because there's a reason for it. Okay.
They explain that in 4?
No, they're going to explain it in the TV series.
Oh, okay.
They will explain it. Okay. You find out in several of the games, you get to understand why, and it's neat. And when you hear it and you see it, it's going to be, oh, wow, that's awesome. It really is. It's well thought out and it's awesome. But the way they did that, like you said, to be so advanced that your car runs off of a fusion generator. Okay. Which, endless fusion energy. Okay. Yet you have vacuum tube radios that you're still using to listen to the radio,
Yep.
So it's things like that are just, it's the contrasting aspects of it that add that extra depth to it, in my opinion, and walking around listening to Diamond City Radio, which is totally on YouTube Music and Spotify and everything else, just by the by. Okay. And it just adds that other element to it. And it's amazing. It really is. It adds almost an atmosphere to it that you don't get with a lot of other games.
Exactly. They go for an era and they just nail that one particular era, and that's kind of it. And that was one of the things I loved about BioShock was that atmosphere. It's technologically advanced, but it has the 50s, 60s vibes to it. And this one just absolutely nails it. The score, and in terms of the TV show goes, the score is fucking fantastic, and it just
God, yes.
it just nails that 50s, 60s vibe. But with Fallout 4, again, I knew it was a survival post-apocalyptic game, yada yada yada, right? So I'm collecting all this shit, and then you get the gun, and then I don't want to spoil anything for the first 30 minutes of the game, guys, but a little something happens, and then you go outside, and it's just like, oh God, this game is way fucking bigger than I ever thought it was going to be, because it's pretty much open world, right?
It is 100%. It's open world. I wish I could find that graphic in a few minutes, but no, I couldn't. But it was the open world part of it is absolutely huge. Like so many square kilometers and stuff. Everybody uses kilometers except us, but so many square kilometers and everything, and it was a absolutely enormous map size. And but within that map, anything is open game. You have random encounters, you have random spawns, you have it's not set that if you go here, this one boss is going to be here. That's not the way the game engine works. That adds to some of the playability and some of the awesomeness of it as well. I'm sorry, I'm changing out my batteries real quick, so multitasking here.
I got you.
But and in that, you also, the thing with Fallout that I do love as well too with the game is you get an extra layer into that as well, because who wants to roam the wasteland alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a companion or the option to have a companion. You can choose to roam alone, 100%. Okay, or you could have companions. You could have in Fallout 4, you could have dog meat. Okay, which is your dog. And there's several. You can actually take Codsworth out later on, and he'll be your companion. And don't knock Codsworth. Codsworth's the badass. He can fight with the best of them, okay? He pull out his little flamethrower and his buzzsaw, and buddy, he's going to work. You hear me?
Underrated.
Exactly. But you get different acquaintances you meet, different people you talk to can become your partner in this, and it adds that extra level, the banter back and forth and stuff like that, It adds another layer of complexity to it that, like I said, it's just awesome in my opinion. It makes the game that much more replayable as well, too. As we got to a lot of the games these times we're getting now, if you play through it one time in a 6 to 8 hour campaign, if you're lucky. Okay? And there's no replayability to it. It's a linear plot. When you have a game like this, you have forks in the road everywhere you could take. You could play it 10 times and never make the same choice twice and have a different outcome every single time. And that's just that adds a level of replayability that you just can't find in a lot of these games anymore. You know?
No, I absolutely agree. I looked up howlongtobeatit.com, and no, that's not a porno site, guys. That's fucking legit for video
No,
games.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
Say
Go
that
fuck
name one more
yourselves.
time.
Howlongtobeatit.com.
I'm not touching that.
Oh
I would
shit!
guess what
And
about 40 hours. I'm guessing.
yeah, they said that if you just mainline it and don't do anything else,
Mm-hmm.
I think it said it was about 30 hours, 35 hours.
Yeah.
But you could do plus 100 hours in it with all the
Well,
side activities and shit
exactly,
like
because
that.
Fallout 4 also has what they call the settlement system, where you can actually build up certain settlements. You can craft, you can create, you can build structures, you can build farms, you can do power management, all kinds of stuff. And you can sink an absolute ass ton of time into doing this, okay? And then when you start doing all of that, you can link your settlements. So all of your resources are then linked between all of them together, and they can make money for you in the case that you can actually start up shops and stuff. And it just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole. So yeah, 30, 40-hour game could turn into a 150, 200-hour game, that quick when you start getting into the stuff like that.
All right, so let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
So I am, for anybody that's ever listened or watched the podcast, y'all know I fucking love Dark Souls, okay?
Yes.
In Dark Souls, you got to search every nook and cranny, and you're looking for hidden items, so on and so forth, okay? Because that's just Dark Souls in general, right? So I have got it in my head that I do that with every single fucking game, where I am searching every corner of the map. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I've been doing that, and it doesn't reward me as much as I thought it would. Same thing with Horizon Forbidden West. This game, I know it's a survival post-apocalyptic game, so I'm assuming resources are limited. How much time am I to put in to searching every nook and cranny in this world?
You could search every square inch of this map, and there's hidden little features and little trinkets everywhere. Okay? You saw the first episode, which I'm sure we're going to get to in a few minutes or whatnot. Power armor. Huge boon. Looks amazing in the show. They nailed that too, by the way. Just going out there. Super impressed with that. Power armor is a huge boon, huge buff for your character. And you can find these hidden, oh my God, this convoy got hit here and this thing overturned. You look in the convoy, and right behind a locked gate, here's a whole set of power armor. Mm-hmm. Or you're in this house and you look behind the thing, and oh, look, here's another, here's a shotgun with, shotgun shells. Here's a thing. You got this. You found stim packs to heal and water and everything else. And you could spend an unimaginable amount of time just searching. And you wouldn't be wasting your time. You have to, I guess it falls down to, Matt, you have to decide, what do you want in it? Do you want to just, find every object there is to find? Since most of it you're going to break down into, they call it junk parts, which is the parts you use to build other things. Okay? Or upgrade weapons or upgrade armor or stuff like that. Okay? Or do you want to get just what you need to progress? Now, if you want to get just what you need to progress, you can pretty much do that on the storyline and don't have to really go exploring a whole lot. Okay? But if you want to be that explorer, it is rewarding at the same time. They did add that into it where if you go exploring, you do get something in return for that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I don't have a ton of time to play video games, so I try to balance it. And I'm not going to say that I beeline a lot of games now, but I try not to spend so much time doing shit that doesn't really affect the game a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, like in Resident Evil games,
Yeah.
you better not shoot that motherfucking weapon unless you absolutely have to, because
Exactly. You ain't
you
gonna
are
find
not going
another
to
bullet
find
to
much.
replace it.
Exactly. So I guess my thing is, if I don't go search for this stuff, am I going to have enough ammo and shit like that, or is it very, very finite?
Playing it on a normal difficulty, which is what I'm playing it at. Okay. My days of super hard difficulties are over with. Okay. My eyes ain't that good no more. My reflexes ain't what they used to be. But
Exactly. Like, I ain't got
playing it
time
on
to
a
be doing all that.
normal difficulty, I have not had a problem in just searching what's on my way. Now, I'm one of the ones that if I'm at point A and I'm going to point B, things that are on my way there that I see, I will search. And that's normally the way I do it. I'm not going to go for point A. Instead of going to point B, we can go to C and D and E and Z and all. And then I'm going to do what's on my way there, and I'm going to search that. Doing that method right there, I've never run out of ammo. I've never been, down, unless it's one of these things like you're going here and this, okay, we got this special weapon up on the top of the building here, and you're going to go use that, and these raiders are going to attack us, and you're going to use that weapon to kill these raiders. Well, that weapon's going to run out of ammo. It's supposed to. Okay? That's the way this is supposed to happen. So, but other than that, your normal weapons that you're carrying, your 10 millimeter pistol, you're not going to run out of 10 millimeter ammo. You're going to find it everywhere. It's going to be on all the bodies you loot and everything like that. Okay. 10 millimeter, 38 and 45 ammo are plentiful and they're everywhere. So you're not going to have that issue, And then when you get further along in the game, you start using the bigger ammo. If it starts to get a little bit where you're starting to run out, it's not hard to get the materials to make believe it or not, it's actually a bullet manufacturing process where you can manufacture your own bullets. Okay. So there is options in it to keep you going as well too. But I've never had the issue of just, oh my God, I have no bullets for any of my good guns,
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. I'm trying to think where I was going with that. I'm not very good at first person shooter games.
You've said this
or just
before.
shooter games in general.
They're not your top tier,
They're not. I'm just not very good at them. So I just want to make sure that like me sucking dick at shooting isn't going to affect my gameplay.
I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that you're not going to see anywhere. Use your VATS, okay? And what VATS, Vault Tech Assisted Targeting System. It's if you're playing on a I can only say this for PC, on a mouse and keyboard, it's Q. And what it is this a targeting computer built into your Pip-Boy that lets you target specific areas of the body when you get into combat. It uses your action points, and you can try to put 3 rounds in their chest. Well, you also have this crit meter that builds up every time you shoot and every time you hit. And when a crit meter builds up, it hits them with a critical hit, and normally you can drop just about anything within a reason. Okay? With that. It will help you out tremendously. It will teach you where to look to aim on all of these creatures as well, too. Because you're not just fighting people, okay? Remember, this is post-apocalyptic. You're going to have some really weird-looking creatures coming at you. Death claws of bitches, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just going to have to learn that. And that's the easiest way I always found was to use the VATS. It shows you what to aim for and everything else. And then even in VATS, it does it for you until your action points refresh. But you're going to figure that out coming up real soon, I promise, if you keep playing through the game. Because you haven't really gotten into much combat. You kill a couple rad roaches here and there. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
But
I was not expecting those motherfucking roaches, by the way.
Hey, what have they told us since we was kids that's going to survive the nuclear apocalypse?
Roaches. Fucking roaches.
And I'll be damned if they ain't the first thing you see. So
yeah, I'm walking through that. I'm walking through the vault, and all of a sudden, I see little 3 roaches fucking come at me. I'm like, oh fuck. Let me get my gun out, and I'm trying to aim, and they're just steadily hitting me. I'm like, fuck, dude, fuck,
tap, tap, tap. They just peck you to death,
So I was going with more of a. I like the idea of having a lot in perception and charisma. I want to be able to talk my way out of some shit.
Charisma is the most underrated skill. Charisma and luck are actually the 2 most underrated skills, in my opinion.
Oh, I didn't put
Okay.
anything into the luck.
Oh, I'm telling you, start putting stuff into luck, and you will notice it
Yeah.
instantly when you
Okay.
start putting stuff into luck. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I put
Charisma
stuff into
is great
strength
because you can do
and.
the talk checks and get your way out of a lot of situations, and it's awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You get people to tell you secrets just because you're charismatic. It's awesome. All right.
Yeah, I put it into strength, perception, and charisma. I think were and I put some into like agility and
I was just
stuff
fixing
like
to
that.
ask, how much did you put in strength? Because here's the thing with
Uh,
strength. You know what strength does? It increases your carrying capacity and increases your melee damage mostly. So if you're not playing a
mm-hmm.
melee character, your strength is pretty much wasted.
Wasted. Okay, I think I put like 4 points into
Yeah,
it to start off with.
and that's fine. I normally what I'll do is I'll split points between them, and I'll leave a few left over, and I'll hit the ones I want to play on that. Now, melee builds are great in this game. They really are. You do some hella damage with a sledgehammer. Let me promise you that. Okay, but I'm always a gun guy. I normally do play the firearm, the gunzerkers, the gunslingers, whatever you want to call them, and but your strength's going to increase your carrying capacity, which is going to be useful. You didn't saying you wasted them is not a good term, but the more you can carry, the more you can bring back to your settlement, the more you can put in your stash, the more you can sell, the more caps you get to buy better stuff down the road. Okay, so and there is a market system in this game. When you go to any of these big towns and settlements, you can buy stuff. You can buy bullets if you need more bullets. If you find yourself running low and you haven't been lucky enough, and you're getting worried because you only have 30 10 millimeter rounds left, go there and buy bullets. Okay, that's what you have your caps for. You know, sell the crap you got on you that you don't need. You know, so you have that option as well. But like I said, going through your special and picking all your skills is your first step. And like I said, really true, there's no wrong way to do it. It all depends on play style and stuff. Okay. Which with
Mm-hmm.
you right now, you probably don't know what your play style is in the game yet because you just started it. You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Typically, I just want to beat shit and be done with it. I'm like all offense, no defense kind of guy. But I'm trying to get away from that whole type of play. Like in Dragon's Dogma 2,
Mm-hmm.
I would usually go with like a strength build or like a warrior or a fighter or something like that.
Okay.
But I decided to go more like dex and do like archery, which is very unlike me. And I had a shit ton of fun doing it. So I'm going with more of a I just want to talk my way out of a lot of shit.
Charisma. Go down charisma. Go down. This sounds sexist. I'm sorry. I didn't make this up. This is the way the game did it. Get Lady Killer when you go down. That gives you, I think, up to like 20% more chance to have your conversation checks work on women.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain things as you go down that you'll see them all, dude. And it's like, oh, this is going to help. Oh, this is going to help. Oh, this is awesome. You know, even to the point where there's one perk down the line where if you point your gun at a person, they get intimidated and they'll do anything you tell them to.
Oh yes, I'm all for
Okay.
that.
All right. So, I mean, you have these options coming down. It's like I said, the skill trees are pretty neat with the options you can go with them. They really are.
I
You
like the
know,
way it's designed, the
it
skill
is.
tree.
It's simple. It's when you first look at it, it almost looks overwhelming with all this stuff, but it really is pretty simple when you look at it and figure out how to do it. And it's not hard, you know. So just spend a little time on it and seeing what you want. You can figure out which way you need to go and which paths you need to take to get what you want. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to pick like let's say the level 2 skill is something you're not interested in. You're not doing that. You don't need that. But the skill underneath that, the level 3 skill, man, that's awesome. I want that. You don't have to get that level 2 skill to get to the level 3 skill. You don't have to go all the
Ooh,
way down. Okay?
that's a good tip. A good tip, sir.
So you can skip that skill and get the one past it. You just have to you got to spend your points. Some of them do have level requirements on them. You know, there's a level system. You've seen that already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as you level up, you get a skill point. It's pretty standard across any game that does this, you know. And you can spend your points there, but like some skills may be, oh, you have to be level 5 to invest in this skill. So you just gotta plan out which way you want to go with it. That's all.
I gotcha. But yeah, I the survival horror. Not, I wouldn't even call it a horror game just yet.
No.
I wouldn't even go so far as saying that. But like the survival type games, not typically something that I'm not saying I dislike those types of games. Because that's not true. I like the idea of them. It's just I end up having to play something different, and I just don't want to waste my time with trying
No.
to ration and search for shit and like that.
I got you. And the
But
thing
based on
is,
the first 40 minutes that I've played, 100% something that I think I'm gonna love.
well, the opening scene when you get into the vault to me was amazingly done in the game. It really was. I thought it was awesome. 'Cause it even when you're running to try and to get there and everything. I'm not trying to spoil it for anybody. You understand what I mean now because you've done this. But when you're going through and you're trying to get there and everything else, I thought the scene was very well done. The visuals on it were done exceptionally well as also with that. You know, but it even added that air of urgency when you're trying to run. Music in the background, everything else. It was well done. I truly enjoyed it. I really did, and I thought it was very indicative of how you feel in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's just I'm trying not to spoil. I really want you to really enjoy this and play because I think you will when you do it. There's so much of a story into it. Eventually one of these days I'm gonna get you into another story trilogy, but we ain't gonna deal with
Which one would
that
that
just
be?
yet. Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Yeah, yep. That's
Mm-hmm.
eventually on the that's it's on the radar, sir. It's on the radar.
Yep. 1, 2, and 3.
Uh,
Don't worry about Andromeda. That's a different beast all of its own. But 1, 2, and 3,
I
man, they're amazing.
I will say this, and Corey is not going to like this opinion at all, or a lot of people, honestly. But I feel stronger about this opening hour of Fallout 4 than I ever did with BioShock.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, um, I'm changing the talk here for just a second. Uh, Watching the TV show, they could 100% do a BioShock TV series based on what we have seen
Oh my God,
from that
yes.
first episode of Fallout. 100%. All you got to do is just change the scenery a little bit, and it's fucking BioShock.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about Bioshock. Now we're gonna hit this tangent. Okay, this is where you and I struggle with these because we can get off talking on all kinds of stuff. But the thing with Bioshock that I found out, and I played all of them, of course. I haven't delved as deep into the lore on Bioshock as Corey has. Okay, Corey can sit here and talk about this for hours on this. The more you play that game and then the subsequent games, the more you learn about what you're starting to see in the beginning of the first game. Super planned out, okay, in the
Mm-hmm.
developers' minds. But like in Bioshock Infinite, which is the third one in the series, and I think it was actually a DLC for it, or no, it may have been a DLC. I don't remember. You got to forgive me on this one. But either toward the middle of the game or in one of the DLCs, you find out why you crash landed. Now we know from playing that you were made to crash land where you did, right next to the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out why it's a lighthouse, and it adds a whole different complexity to it. Bioshock is an amazing series. It truly is. It's not for everybody. I ain't gonna look down on it because you don't like it. You like what you like. You don't like what you don't like. It is what it is. Okay. Okay. I mean, I like the Bioshock series. I'm not as big on Bioshock as Corey is. And it's just the way it is. I do enjoy the series. I've played through all of them many times. I like the two best story series for me are Metro, the three Metro games, and Mass Effect. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And those are my story games. But once again, I'm a shooter first type of guy. Okay, I've played shooters for as long as I can remember. You know, we my buddy that I was trying to get to come on, but sadly it doesn't look like that's going to work out for us. But it's all right. We'll get him a different time. We'll nail his ass down one of these days.
Absolutely.
But him and I started playing together probably 20 some odd years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When we was playing Call of Duty 2, Battlefield 2, Call of Duty 4, and was playing in tournaments, paid tournaments. And, you know, we actually had money on the table and everything else. And Call of Duty 4, and him and I, it's the way we met. I mean, he lives in California. We live, you know, over here in Louisiana. And until a couple of years ago when I took a trip, I'd never met this guy. I'd never even seen him face to face. Okay. Know everything about him from my best friend, but he and I have been playing together in these games ever since then. You know, and it's just this
That's pretty cool.
awesome story with that. But he'll tell you too that everybody has their own taste with this. Okay. One of the biggest games we play now is we've talked about this before, Escape from Tarkov. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when you talk about hardcore, once it is about as hardcore can get. Okay. And that's not everybody's cup of tea. Okay. Hang on one second.
Yeah, I was it's not that I dislike BioShock. I don't dislike BioShock at all. It's just one of those games I'm like, okay, I experienced it. I played through all 3 games. I'm good. I'm good for the rest of my life. That's kind of like my opinion of them.
Exactly. And that's fine, man. It's totally fine. You like what you like what you don't like. There are people like the Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. Great games. I've played them. Not my cup of tea. You know?
The issue with Baldur's Gate 3 is I think the combat is so, and maybe it's just me not being a D&D enthusiast. It just seems super fucking overcomplicated that is very hard to get into. And for me, as someone that doesn't have a lot of time to play games, I don't want to have to sit there for an hour of my hour and a half playtime that I have every single night trying to figure out how to fucking play this game.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I mean, there's some, what was it? The one that came out a while back. I looked at, I almost got, and I turned it. I decided not to. It was an amazing game, great review. The Shakiro, The Shadows Die Twice, or whatever it is.
Sekiro.
That's it. I couldn't remember the name of it. Okay. Amazing game, dude. The reviews for it were out of this world. They said it was awesome, but I didn't pull the trigger on it because it's just not my style game that I normally play.
So, Sekiro will always haunt my dreams. Always.
Oh, hard as hell from what I understand.
Some people say it's easy as shit. It is the only
fuck them guys
Souls-like game that I have not beaten. And I can't beat it. Can't beat it whatsoever. It's just like I hit a roadblock, and then when I get past that roadblock, there's... The issue with Sekiro is the fact that it is backloaded with bosses.
Okay.
So you hit one boss, and it took me months to fucking kill him. And then there's another boss right after him. And it's just like, oh my God, there's another fucking roadblock. And with Dark Souls, you can level your character up, put points in certain stats, and just, I guess, brute force your way through it, right?
Why is there a thumb just popped up on your screen there? That was
it's some stupid Apple thing. I don't know how to turn that
looking,
shit
and all
off.
of a sudden it popped up. I was like, what the hell was that? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But with Sekiro, you don't have that. You just learn skills. You don't. Your character never really gets stronger. So it's all about skill and actually learning the systems and whatnot. If I could beat Sekiro, it would be a top 10 game all time for me. Love the story, love that environment, love everything about that game. But I can't put it in my top 10 because I can't fucking beat it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, it looked amazing, but that's just not my type of game. It's really not. And As weird as it is to say, I'm a shooter first type of guy. That's what I am. Like I said, I ain't as good playing against the kids no more because their reflexes are a lot better than mine these days. But I still hold my own pretty good. I have my moments.
there there are games out there that I'm like, that looks cool as shit, but I know that it's just not for me.
And
And
just FYI, I'm going to stop you. You may be getting a request to join here in just a second because Frank just messaged me. That's what I was typing to.
okay,
I think he's fixing to try to get on. He just got home, so yeah. I guess that comes across on your end or whatever. So just FYI. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
okay,
you, but
all right, no, that's fine. But yeah, I guess we'll save the we'll talk about the Fallout TV. Has he watched the TV series yet?
yes, he's finished with it.
All right, we can talk about episode 1 with him, and then
Absolutely.
we'll close out the rest of the episode after that. But yeah, like there are several games that come out that I'm just like, not for me, not for me. Looks great, looks like fun for somebody that would enjoy these types of games, but not for
Yeah,
me.
I'm gonna upset an entire fan base. Okay,
Oh, I
great
like it.
games, great games. Read so much about them. There's so much to them. I've never played the first Final Fantasy game ever.
Ooh,
Have not touched one. Not because I don't think I would like. I just never got into it. Initially, it was console only. Okay,
mm-hmm.
and at that time, I've been pure PC gaming for forever now. And I didn't have a way to play that. I didn't have a way to do that. So it was kind of weird in that aspect. And now I know I can get into it. I don't think, for a while I was mistaken too. I thought you had to play them in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to whatever it is now, 13 or 14. And I found out that that's not
16.
truly the case, huh? You don't have to actually play them in order for the games to make sense.
No, so Final Fantasy had their singular stories with each game. Now there are some things that carry over from previous games, and it's just
Okay.
like the typical like series thing that continues. Like there's chocobos in every damn game. Like it's not like story elements, and there's like one character in every single game that is named Sid.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
That's kind of a
it's
weird.
that
That's
kind.
kind of a weird note. Yeah.
It's stuff like that kind of carries over. It's not like, oh, like you need to know who this is or what happened in this game to play this game. None of them are like that at all.
I definitely see it as something that I may want to try and play eventually. It is. It looks interesting as hell, and it sounds like it has a deep story and lore to it as well. But so
I remember playing Final Fantasy X for the first time, and that was my first Final Fantasy game, and there's an option to turn off where it tells you what every single item does, what every single spell does, and I didn't know that was an option there to do that. So I played the entire game not knowing what any of the fucking items did or anything. And
that's hilarious.
it wasn't until the very end of the game that I was like, this is how you play this shit? Well, damn. But now Final Fantasy X is like one of my favorite games of all time.
I got you. I got you. Like I said, never got into it. Never played the first one of them. So,
And
hello,
we
Frank.
have
How's it going?
Frank joining us.
How's it going?
I'll do a little introduction on this one, Matt, if I'm not stepping on your toes there.
Go ahead, sir.
This is Frank Snyder. His gamer tag is Tank. You're going to hear me call him Tank for the whole time. This is what I normally refer to him as. Hell, even when I was at his house a couple years ago, I called him Tank more than I called him Frank, I think. But one of my best friends in the world right here. Like I said, we've been gaming together for probably close to 20 years now, if not more than 20. I don't know. Hell, it's too damn long. I'm getting too old. I can't remember all that shit no more. But he's a big computer guy as well, IT technician or whatever his classification he wants to call himself as. He's a computer
A systems
nerd like
administrator, sir.
me. Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. So, but he's another huge Fallout buff as well as myself. Both of us have played through all of them. He just finished a playthrough of I don't know if he finished it or not, but of 3, playing through Fallout 3, and I was doing 4, and so uh, so give it back to you now. That's about the best intro I got for him. So,
Well, nice to meet you, sir. My name is Matt.
Hey, Matt.
We've been talking a little bit about Fallout. I've never played Fallout before. With the TV series coming out, kind of piqued my interest. So I have played probably about 30, 45 minutes of Fallout 4. So that's my first time I've ever done anything with Fallout. And loving the first 45 minutes. And that's kind of what we just been talking about, our love for the game and whatnot so far.
and I told him, I said, 4 differ a lot from the previous ones. 4 was the first
3.
one that added
3
the
was,
settlement systems, you know?
Yeah. 3 was groundbreaking. 1 and 2 are action is all time-based, very linear story. Your actions don't really have an effect on the world because they're so heavily scripted. Of course, you have always the freedom of choosing RPGs, but you always ended up with X amount of what was going to happen to you, whether you're going to be killed by wasteland or anything. But 3 was groundbreaking, absolutely groundbreaking, and
Oh, wait, on you, Brian. I thought you were
Oh,
saying
okay.
something.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. He's absolutely correct. 3 was revolutionary. It added in so many different aspects. It added in the durability system to it, where the more you use a weapon, it's going to start losing durability, and when you go to reload it, it's going to jam on you, and you got to clear the jam to the point where it gets unusable, and it will I think they actually break, if I'm not mistaken, if you get them down too far. So then you have to repair your weapons. You have to maintain your weapons and stuff like that. And you would think of this in a wasteland, okay? When you start thinking about stuff like that. 4 added in, like I said, 4 didn't do the durability stuff. It wasn't in 4. It was something they took out, but they added in the settlement stuff. Now, myself personally, I enjoy the hell out of the settlement stuff. Frank doesn't care for it as much. Okay? His favorite is going to be, I think his favorite is still going to be New Vegas, but I think 3 is the second after that. My favorite is going to be New Vegas, and 4 is my second after that. So, a little bit of discrepancy there, but it's understandable when you understand play styles with it. I love the building aspect of it, you know?
To kind of bounce off of what we were talking about before he joined, base building type games, those are one of the ones I'm like, that seems like a lot of fun, but not really for me.
Well, it's time
But
consuming.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this game does it differently and to see if my opinion of it changes.
Yeah. And that's the thing we do when you get into the base building, you can spend a lot of time in the base building. And you can see just how easily that can go down that rabbit hole. Like you said, a 30, 40 hour games, and you're 100 hours into it because you've spent all this time building up to, and it's not just one base, dude. You could build up, I think it's 15 or 20 different areas on the normal map, not even including DLCs with Fallout 4. So, like I said, you can spend a lot of time doing this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or you do like me, and I make 1 or 2 centralized big bases, and I just kind of branch everything out from there, So,
Yeah, I didn't care much for the base building. I appreciated what they were trying to do in it with it because you come across, I think it's a Philadelphia region, right? And 4,
yes, it's over in Philadelphia,
Boston, Philadelphia, that area, right?
Correct.
And they wanted to expand the faction system because the factions always kind of felt like you're either bad or you're good. There was no really in between. Even though there was a huge scale, and ever since Fallout 1, there was a huge scale of what your character could become. For instance, in Fallout 1, I went to the first town, Shady Sands, and I misclicked and killed a kid, and I got the child killer perk. So every time I went to that town, I was hostile, and they would rush me. So that was like my first playthrough, and I think I was like 12 or 13 years old, and I thought that was the most horrific but awesome thing ever, that I could kill a kid in a game. But yeah, and then the homage in the Fallout TV series about the water chip was that hit my gamer G spot, I guess you could say. But to me, it just felt like a time sink. You know what I mean? I'm the type of gamer that just likes to like point me at them and let me get at them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So It was
Same
especially coming from 3 and Las Vegas, and then being really excited about 4 because of the new engine, the new art, the new, you know what I mean, just everything was going to be a little bit brighter because, you know, if you've ever played 3, it has like that green, brownish green tint over everything.
Darkness to it almost.
Yeah, and I get what they're trying to do, but I hate when they put filters over stuff like that because it just makes it look ugly. They have mods now that fix it, but Fallout Vegas was a little bit more vibrant because of the Las Vegas strip and all that. But
and the desert setting was a little brighter too. Yeah,
playing that first 30 or 40 minutes in 4, going through what it was like before the bombs dropped was excellent. And then going to see the first faction, I forgot their name now. What's the first faction name? Would you rescue them?
The first faction you're going to come across, and not really spoilers, and other ones, Minutemen.
Minutemen, thank you very much.
Okay.
And then them wanting you to create that little thing, and I was just like, really? Now I have to spend an hour or two like messing around and placing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but I just wanted to progress with the story. Yeah. So I did it. But I never paid attention to them after I founded the settlements. I never went back to them. I never maintained them. I just did what I had to do to get past that chapter in the game and progress in the storyline. Because that's what I place Fallout for, is the lore, the story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. I don't know if you all seen like the new upgrade, the new update for the next gen version of.
Oh yeah,
Fallout
I downloaded it yesterday, actually. I think it was the 25th. Yeah, yesterday I downloaded it, and I've played it a good bit since then.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was pleasantly surprised by how good it looked. I was like, damn, like this looks. When did this game come out?
Well.
It looks really well. Now, granted, I don't have a lot of games crash on me. I could probably count on one hand how many games crash on me on my PlayStation. I was just in the vault and the game just shut off.
Good job,
just
Bethesda.
like that. I was like,
that's the 101 right there.
I was like,
you're not having fun until the game crashes.
Well, that's what I told Brian. I was like, is it a Bethesda game if it doesn't have a bug?
No.
Elder Scrolls, freaking Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas. They all the DLCs. They all have their little quirks to them. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Just save often. Save often with Bethesda games. Save often.
I don't know if it'll do it on your console or not, but there's an option in 4 to auto save when you close your Pip Boys. In other words, if you open your Pip Boy up to look at something, when you close your Pip Boy, it doesn't auto save. I'd turn that on, just by the by.
I think I may have turned it on. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go look back there and check it out and make sure.
Yeah, but like you said, save often. I mean, that's something we've learned with any Bethesda game is you save often.
Yeah. So, but I asked Brian. I just wanted to make sure before we talk about it. You've seen, Frank, the first episode of the TV series.
I've watched the whole series.
The whole series. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen episode 1. I plan on reviewing each individual episode.
Nice.
So if y'all want, we can talk about the first episode. And we can do full spoilers about the first episode from here now.
Okay.
So if you have not watched episode 1, this is your time to back out and come back later.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've just watched episode 1, so I don't give anything away. Episode 1 ends where?
The ghoul. Walter Goggins' character shows up and kills those 3 guys.
That's right. The 3 guys go to res the ghoul, and he shows them what's what.
They're using Radaway to keep them sedated and in a stasis is what they're doing. That's
Correct.
What those bags are. That's Radaway, which is it's anti-radiation, and ghouls need their radiation. They thrive in radiation, right? So
correct.
Giving them Radaway will basically make them slumber. So it's like a stasis for ghouls.
Oh, okay.
You learned something new already, didn't you?
Yeah, right. So a lot of people have been talking about how good the TV series is, and that's what kind of piqued my interest into diving into this series and franchise. I I really, really enjoyed it. And what I was telling Brian earlier, and it's something that the game and in the first hour has really done well, is the contrast of like the 50s and 60s vibes that they have, along with the advanced technology that it has as well. So it says it's year 77 or something shit
2077.
like that.
That's correct. 2077.
But a lot of it looks like it's in the 1950s. It threw me off, to be completely honest with you. And I had to Google it and was like, what fucking year does this shit take place? And it was
October
like
23rd,
2077.
2077.
And I was like, all right, well, this is pretty fucking cool. And the TV, just in episode 1 at least, has really nailed that to me, especially with the score and the music choices that they have. And it's one of my favorite things about the first episode in general.
Now, I will tell you this,
contrast.
as a Fallout buff, and Frank will tell you this as well. There was one error in the first episode that I didn't like and he didn't like, and it was with the music. Johnny Cash was never in any Fallout game that there was. His music was not in there. So when they played the Johnny Cash song, that was not to lore or to games or to anything else. I liked the song. It worked great, and it didn't take away from anything, okay? So I'm not saying that because of that. It was just one of the little tidbits of that was never in any games.
Right.
You know?
I was curious about that because I was like, I don't know. I love Johnny Cash. By all means, I dig him.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. It felt like the song choices were completely different than the ones that we had before that.
Correct. And like I said, that was the only thing to me that stood out. And that, to me, it stood out like a sore thumb because we both played it. We know what music it's supposed to be, you know?
I enjoyed the music because it had the 50s and 50s vibe to it. It was mainly 50s vibe. There were some 60s in there, Johnny Cash, etc., Ella Fitzgerald, all that stuff. But I didn't like the fact that they didn't rely on the good old time Fallout tunes. You know what I mean? Like The World on Fire. That's like I was expecting to hear that because that is quintessential to when you load into Fallout. I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to light a spark in your heart. That's like Fallout's theme song right there. And when they didn't use that, I was kind of like, oh, man. But like you guys are saying, the soundtrack fit. It was a different time. They're trying to go. They weren't in the wasteland, so there wasn't need for that darkness because that song's kind of borderline darkish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see the upbeatness and the Americana. It's all Americana there. You know what I mean? Screw the commies. America's the best. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? That's just what Fallout. It's overindulged on every level, and they nailed it.
Absolutely. And
I really got attached
inside the vault. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say I really got attached to the characters. Any of these characters like actual people in the games, or are they just created for this TV show?
Lucy
No,
could be
because
any
this is
vault
on the
dweller.
West Coast. So the only game that takes place on the West Coast and not really California, even though you can kind of see California from a vantage point on one area of New Vegas. If you go up the 15 freeway to the New California Republic checkpoint, which is out of your way. But no, so these characters are new, but they did nail down the Vault-Tec masquerade is how I'll label it for you right now. Okay? It's a masquerade, so just take it for a grain of salt. You're in for a treat.
Oh yeah, and then some.
Oh, yeah. And it solves the number one question any hardcore Fallout fan has ever had is who dropped the bomb first? Was it Chinese?
By the end of the
was it the
series-
Americans? Was it the Russians? Who dropped the bombs?
You'll
find out by the end of the series. And yeah, it's awesome because it was a community conspiracy theory since Fallout 3 days. You know what I mean? I didn't really follow the community in Fallout 1, Fallout 2 days because there was such a long difference between Fallout 2 to Fallout 3. You're talking, I think, like 10 or 13 years, okay? Because they were originally made by Interplay. and Interplay was defunct, and Bethesda just stumbled across the rights for it through some legal maneuvering. But yeah, it's oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah, what's her name? Lucy. I like how the episode kind of divides it up into different characters that they're introducing. I'm not sure how I feel about this Maximus guy just yet. Lucy, 100%. I'm down with that story. I think they did a good job of kind of setting her up, and
Okie dokie.
yeah, okie dokie. I was like, I mean, it's cheesy, but I like it. You know, I like
It's
it.
Americana. It's the 50s and 60s esque vibe they have going on. Okie dokie, everything's innocent, right? I mean,
And that's the vault
look at the
vibe.
Pip. Look at the Pip boy. He's like the perfect Americana boy, poster boy. You know what I mean? He's just so yeah.
And Matt, just to give you a little bit of a timeline too, he had said there was a big difference. Fallout 2 released in December of 1998, and Fallout 3 released in 2008.
Yeah, so 10
wow.
years, yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
So
on
in between
Steam just
that
to make
was-
sure, yeah.
Nothing.
They went defunct.
Well, they
somewhere in
had
between
some.
there.
They had some like forays into some expansions, like Fallout Tactics, a couple other like small little things, but nothing really grasped on. And I didn't really play Fallout Tactics or anything like that.
No, I didn't either.
But just to know that it was in first/third person with Fallout 3 in 2008, I immediately bought it. Immediately signed up for the pre-sale, was standing outside of GameStop at 12 a.m. on release date to get my freaking box version of Fallout 3.
We talked about that earlier.
Got the
too.
Prima, I got the Prima strategy guide with it. You know what I mean? That was like, God, it was like this thick. You know what I mean? And I went through every single page and I did everything in Fallout 3. And I think I got like 60 to 70 hours of playthrough, and it was on Games for Windows Live. I remember that delivery service. That's defunct now, so all my save and all my achievements are gone. But no, circling back to the characters, Lucy McLean, who I'm reading here, it's Ella Purnell. Absolutely perfect choice.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. She did an excellent job with the attitude, her outlook, what is expected of her. She is your quintessential vault dweller, oblivious to everything else but her little world.
Yeah. I will say this as a side note too. For as well as she played that, vocally was amazing. You would never guess by watching her that she was British and has that thick, heavy British accent. Because you will never guess that by watching her play this role at all. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with her on somewhere and it's like, holy crap. You know?
Yeah.
I did not know. Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I just, I like the little weird stuff, Matt. So
I love how they kind of paint her as like I don't want to say a badass, but she kind of just says, I'm really good at this kind of shit. You know, when she kind of goes over like her stats at the very beginning of the episode.
exactly. It's weird the
And-
way you see that, ain't it?
Yes. I enjoyed that. But then she gets into this whole where they're trying to marry her off, and then she turns into that I guess that typical quintessential 50s, 60s female for the male, all that kind of stuff, right? And then as soon as shit goes sideways, she's starting to cap people left and right. I'm like, absolutely, I'm here for that shit. How she can just flip the switch.
The fight scene in the cornfield to me was just amazing.
Let me ask you guys a question. When did you guys know they were Raiders?
When they opened the door.
Okay.
There was it was very early. I didn't know who they were. I just knew they weren't good.
They weren't vault dwellers, right? You could tell like they weren't vault dwellers.
Yeah.
I didn't
Me and
know
my
for
wife-
sure
Yeah.
until later on, but
Yeah.
I
As
had
soon
my
as I saw
suspicion as soon as they opened the door.
tattoos, as
Yes.
soon as I saw tattoos and scars, like big scars, I told my wife, I'm like, these are Raiders, because everything was just a little off about them. They weren't excited. They weren't happy-go-lucky like the other vault dwellers. They were absolutely more concerned about the food than anything else. If you notice, like they're all just like drooling over the cakes and the food. Okay, so that was very well done on the writing team's part, the director, and also the people that were playing from, I think it was Vault 32 that they were supposed to come from. So very, very good job on all of them.
Yeah, I didn't know who they were by any means, but I was like, something's not right about them. By
Yeah,
any means.
you see that right in the beginning. Like Frank said, the tattoos, the scars, and okay, well, this is a above 18 rated show, right? We don't have to worry about sugarcoating things and stuff like that.
No.
When he wiped himself off on the curtains,
Yeah.
was whenever it really stuck out right there. Something's not right here, and you see her pull out the Pit Boy and actual function of the Pit Boy in game. Okay, turns it over and starts reading the ads on him, and he's got radiation, meaning he's been outside.
Yep.
You know, that's whenever and you see it hit the fan then. But she handled herself pretty damn well against him, I got to say. You know.
Yeah. Oh, and the stim pack.
Oh, that was well done too.
Oh my God, she's bleeding and she's about to pass out. She hits a stim pack and she just goes, and then she's just boom.
Mm-hmm.
She's back in the action. Yep, that was perfect tie into that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way they incorporated some of the, I don't want to say like Fallout game features because I don't obviously know all those, but like just typical things that happen in games. Like the health pack and whatnot, I think they did that pretty well and giving it that gamey vibe.
Oh yeah,
like
I said, dude, I just finished the Halo series, okay, and going from the Halo series into this, I was exceptionally concerned, okay. Because to me, the Halo series was a letdown. I understand it's supposed to be alternative universe, yada, yada, yada. Okay? To me, that's just lazy writing, but we won't get into that. Okay? I was worried on how they was going to adapt into this, what their adaptation would be into this. And I was so surprised by the end of and so happy at the end of the first episode because, in my opinion, they really did. They nailed it. You know, they hit it just what they needed to. They came out just perfect with it, man. They really did. You know, and I think it was well done. I think it hit all the points it needed to. It showed their quintessential 50s, absolute picturesque, perfect life to include their projectors that was projecting the sunsets and it was supposed to be the Nebraska sun, I think, on the walls and everything and all of this. And then you see the please stand by, which when you play 3 and all of them, when you load the game, that's the first thing you see is the please stand by, the old test screen, I think is what it's called, but it was a picture test screen and all that. So that was just everything they hit like that was just awesome. Watching the Raiders with the pipe guns, okay, the pipe weapons and stuff like that.
The pipe rifles, yep.
Okay, and all the makeshift blunt weapons and things like that. It was just they took off and they ran with it and they did it perfectly. I can't think of much I would want to change. Like I said, I might have complained about the music earlier, but that was not really a complaint, just kind of a side note on it more than anything. Yeah. Okay,
a little nitpick.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Look, there's always going to be something we can nitpick on something. Okay, it's just the way we are. Okay, it's a gamer mentality. But the way they took off with that, and you're going to see in subsequent episodes, they just build on it, and they keep building this story up. The 3 main characters, which you know already who they are. Okay, you have the Ghoul, you have Maximus, and you have Lucy. Those are going to be your 3 biggest characters throughout it, and I think they casted them exceptionally well. I think all 3 of them play their parts magnificently. Okay? And I think you're in for a
Walter Goggins fan.
I think you're in for a huge surprise as you keep going through these episodes. I really do. I think you're in for a treat, bud.
I'm excited. I was like, I'm reviewing them. I really just want to click to the next episode, but I have to wait. And it's such a pain in the ass to do that shit sometimes.
Yeah.
First world
but
problems, I guess.
you were trying to touch on Maximus. I'll say it. The way they did. So this isn't the classical brotherhood that you know from Fallout 3 or Fallout 4.
No,
Okay,
it's
that's
not.
that's the East Coast Brotherhood, where they're more the East Coast, I guess. Brotherhood is more about helping. Um, they still go around and reclaim technology and all that, but they're not as ruthless. Um, they're more. They can be ruthless, of course. It's the Brotherhood of Steel, but they're about trying to build back America. Is the vibe you get from Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Even though there's some sinister stuff in the echelons, but if you actually play and go through their quests in the games, you start to realize like they're actually there to protect. That's their primary goal. On this one on the show, they're kind of grade A assholes. they're just
Yep.
you saw, but that's a deeper dive into the I guess the culture of the Brotherhood. Because you never got to see part of the hazing. Because I mean, as you progress into the Brotherhood line, you're like the savior. You know what I mean? Like you're like the golden child. Whereas with Maximus, he's basically starting shoveling shit. Is what he's starting with. That's exactly how you meet him. You know what I mean? He's shoveling a latrine. Is what he's doing. Getting his ass kicked, of course. Wanting to be more. Wanting to partake in more, but having to put up with the bureaucracy, which the Brotherhood has so much bureaucracy in the games, and it's such a headache. They go flippy floppy, and especially if you go along their quest line. And you get quite a few options to go against them, but usually in the games, if you side with the main quest, no matter what you do, like for instance, I had the super mutant companion in Fallout 3, and like the super mutants are absolutely enemies with the Brotherhood, but like they didn't bat an eye on it with it, so that's kind of you know what I mean.
Yeah, in 4 you get some weird dialogue and stuff like that. Because in 4 you also have the synths, which are the synthetic humans, if you will. Okay, and the Brotherhood historically is against anything that's not human. Okay, so they're against the synths, they're against the ghouls, they're against the super mutants, anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I gotcha. But yeah, man, I'm very excited to finish the series, and I'm gonna use this as a review clip, so I can go ahead and watch episode 2 tomorrow. So thank y'all.
there you go, man.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Exactly. So here in the FPS world, we call that a collab.
Well, moving on to our final segment, and I know unfortunately Frank came at the very end. I'm 100% down for you to come back on if you ever feel like you want to, especially as we get, I guess, as I get further into the Fallout game and the series. I'm definitely down for talking more and voicing my very, very beginner level opinions about it. But,
hey, one thing about having different people at different levels playing the game, you know what I mean, is you'll probably remind us of a whole bunch of stuff that we have forgotten about. Because, like, truthfully, like when I play Fallout 3 and I go through Fallout 3 New Vegas, I skip a lot of the dialogue because I've been there, done that. And I want to get into, like, more of the side quests and more of the faction stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's where the juicy stuff is for me, because I've already played through the main story. I know what happens to the Dweller and the Lone Wanderer and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So you playing through the games and all that, yeah, I look forward to bouncing stuff off of you. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah, man.
I'll thank Mr. Costa over here for hooking us all up.
Anytime. I'm always.
Don't give him too much things. His head will get bigger than it already is. So
can't do too much. Hey, I don't know if my headset's going to keep fitting.
That just means he has more room for a beard.
Yes.
So Frank, you probably won't be able to do this. I mean, if you can think of one in the meantime, we typically end the episodes on a weekly recommendation, just something. It could be music, it could be a game, could be a movie, TV show, whatever, to recommend to the fine people that are out there watching and listening to us. We didn't talk about a playlist this week. I'm going to recommend a band, and I'm typically the band guy on the podcast. I recommend so many bands and albums. I'm going to recommend a band called Eminence and their brand new album, The Black. It just came out 2 weeks ago. If you like metalcore and you like violins and you like that shit being depressingly or hauntingly depressing, then this is the album for you because it's ABCD, all the above. It's heavy as shit. It's got great vocals, but also the violins are thrown in there to just add this extra dimension to the metal. And it is so far my album of the year. I don't know if another album is going to take over it.
Okay.
What about you,
Black.
Brian?
Gotcha.
Yep. I don't know if you're into that type of music, but
I like some deathcore, some heavy metal. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's one of my vibes. Yeah. I don't look like it now because I'm 40 and raising a daughter, but yeah, I was a metalhead growing up.
Oh no, man, that's pretty much the typical people that say, "Oh, I listen to everything," but do you though? And I'll start because I work on an ambulance, same company that Brian used to work for. I listen to everything. Okay, let's play this and see if you listen to everything now. Okay,
right?
Yeah, I remember Matt when he just started working on the ambulance. He still just had the little peach fuzz on his chin. That was it.
Oh, that was 15 years ago, sir.
That's been a hot minute, hasn't it? And now I hurt your feelings.
Straight up. Now I'm working with people. I'm like, I started this when you were like 2 years old.
I know.
So now I'm in your spot when I first started working here.
Exactly. When I was sitting these young ones just out of high school, and it's like I could be your dad. You know that, huh? But
Brian, what would you recommend to the fine people out there?
I would keep it the Fallout theme on this, and I mentioned it earlier, and I'm gonna mention it again. If you have some of your streaming services for your music streaming and stuff, and you like that music that you hear on the show or in the games, if you started playing the games or whatnot, you can look up Diamond City Radio on YouTube Music or on Spotify, and it's there. And it plays the Fallout music across the one on YouTube Music plays across 3, New Vegas, and 4. Okay, so and it lets you listen to that, and to me, it's just that old time music is just awesome. I love it. Okay,
mm-hmm.
It has a certain vibe to it, and I enjoy the hell out of that. But that's what I'll go with. If that's what you're looking for, and you're enjoying that, there's a way to get a little more of it. A little more bang for your buck there.
I'm gonna go check it out.
Diamond City Radio on YouTube Music. Gotcha.
Yep.
First time here, so I'll probably split mine into 2. Big sci-fi fan here. If there's any other sci-fi fans that watch this show, if you haven't already, check out The Expanse. That is an excellent science fiction. It keeps true to the physics and how space really reacts, and the character development is absolutely golden. So I believe it's on Hulu as well. So it's called The Expanse.
I know it's on Amazon Prime, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
Thank you very much. You are absolutely correct. It's on Amazon Prime. And then if you have not, I'll keep to the Fallout theme as well. Try Fallout 1. That's the first game that takes you into everything and the lore and the story. A lot of the little Easter eggs in the first season were directly related to Fallout 1, like the water chip, the ghouls, there's a line in there where they say, "Oh, the rad roaches," you know what I mean? They got bigger and da 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 da. You know what I mean? That's one of the first enemies that you fight is a rad roach and a rat and all that. So check out Fallout 1 if you have a chance. You can get it on Steam. It runs okay because it is like 18 or 19 years old. So. No, actually, excuse me, 30, almost 30 years old now. So yeah, check out Fallout 1 for a video game.
Okay. I might I might just go into this whole rabbit hole of Fallout games.
Fallout 1 and 2 are going to test your patience because of the turn-based combat. So just keep that in mind. The combat is very turn-based. It's not fluid like 3, 4, or 3, New Vegas, and 4.
Okay, so, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate both y'all.
I find Fallout 2 on Steam right now. I'm sure it's there. But Fallout 2 is $9 right now on Steam. They were on sale last week. They were all $5 a piece, but apparently that sale has ended now.
See, that's my thing, man. $10 for a 30-year-old game.
Yeah, that's
Shouldn't be like
a
that.
bit.
Shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there at all.
But again, that's a rant that I've had on several episodes.
so
So
like
Fallout on Steam is Fallout. It's called a post-nuclear role-playing game. So you may have to look for it. A post-nuclear role-playing game. So,
Okay.
and it was released September 30th, 1997.
Ooh. Many moons ago.
Yes.
it's just a couple days.
Well, guys, I appreciate both of y'all joining me for this. Frank, nice to meet you, and again, thanks for joining us and throwing some lore and all that good stuff with Fallout. Definitely made me more excited to go play it after we end this episode.
Good.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it from us. Again, leave us a comment down below. What's your favorite Fallout game? What do you think about the Fallout series? And until next time, we'll catch you on another episode. Laters.
Take care, Matt.
Hey, with Riverside, I'm going to leave the studio, or I'm going to end the session. You just have to keep the browser open until it uploads your entire, because it's recording your audio on your computer.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So
Right,
It tells
it
me I'm
says
99% upload. Yeah.
yeah, so when I end it, just wait for it to hit 100% uploaded, and that way it comes to me.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Sorry I had to bounce.
That's all right, buddy.
Have a good day.
All right, man. Later.
Later.
Later, man.